Next part we are going to start with is the Unit 2 of Standard 11 Mechanics. Mechanics involves statics, which is a study of body at rest. Then we have kinematics. This involves the study of body in motion and without taking in account for the motion. That means we study only motion and we are not concerned with why the motion is taking place, without taking in account the reason for motion. Then the third branch we have is dynamics. Dynamics, again, it is a study of body in motion, but here along with considering the reason for motion. So out of this we start with the kinematics. I'll briefly show you what does the kinematics involve. Kinematic involves one-dimensional motion. In one-dimensional motion you will do calculations and study about this thing. Speed is equals to distance upon time, right? And corresponding vector quantity, velocity, is displacement upon time. Similarly, you will have acceleration, you will have time, all these things to be calculated in a one-dimensional motion. So there are two more, all these things you study for one-dimensional motion. Then the next part, this is for the uniform motion. And then the next we have accelerated motion. Accelerated motion, again in one dimension we'll study about these formulas, three formulas of the equation of motion. V is equals to u plus at, s is equals to ut plus half at square, and v square minus u square is 2as, accelerated motion. Then after this we move on to the 2D motion. In 2D motion, again we will study the same equations. V is equals to u plus at, s is equals to ut plus half at square, and v square minus u square is 2as. These equations we will study, but with the help of vectors. Since it is two-dimensional, it involves the variation of x and y, both the coordinates. One dimension involves only one of the coordinates. So when two coordinates are changing, how to represent the change in both the coordinates? That is with the help of vectors. So 2D, in 2D we will first study vectors and then we'll relate vectors to these equations. And this 2D part, it is also called as a motion in a plane. Motion in a plane in the sense, let us say this is a plane, a rectangular plane. Now in this, let us say this is the initial position. So this position is denoted by some x coordinate and some y coordinate. This is the x axis and this is the y axis. Now if its new position is this, which is x1, y1. Now you can see here, initial position also has two coordinates, final position also has two coordinates. Calculation of the distance or displacement, then velocity and then acceleration is quite complicated. This can be done with the help of vectors. So 2D motion, in 2D motion we'll first study vectors, relate the vectors to these equations of motion. Collectively all these things it's called as a motion in a plane. So let us start with our first chapter, that is uniform motion. The first topic in the kinematics that we study is uniform motion. You must be very well aware of these words: rest, motion. The word rest means no change in position. and the motion means change in position with respect to time and surroundings. Then there is one more important conclusion, that rest and motion, these two words are rest and motion, these words are relative. These words are relative in the sense, without reference you cannot define rest neither motion. You cannot say body at a complete rest, or you cannot call body in a completely in a motion. Let's say example, can you say earth is at rest or earth is in motion? Or let's say you on earth. So we know that you on the earth or within a room is at rest, but earth as a whole, it is moving. So earth is in motion. So obviously for your state to describe as a state of rest, you need to refer to the surroundings. So you say that you are at rest with respect to time and the surroundings. Surroundings mean the room in which you are. So rest you have to define relatively, motion also you define relatively. Absolute rest is never possible. This is one more important statement regarding the rest and motion. This statement states that absolute rest is never possible. Absolute rest is never possible. That means that you can never say that something is at rest. Let's say if I say that this stone is at rest, this stone is at rest, it is wrong. Stone is at rest with respect to this surroundings. So see, I used the word respect to surroundings. Hence, absolute rest is not possible. I cannot say the stone is at rest. That is a wrong statement. The stone is at rest with respect to time and surroundings is a correct statement. Then next one we have rectilinear motion and translatory motion. So rectilinear motion, it is again motion in a straight line, but this is for the particle. And similarly, translatory motion, it is again a motion in a straight line, but this is by a complete body, just like you and me. If we are moving in a straight line, we say we are undergoing translatory motion. But let's say a very small particle, if it is moving in a straight line, we say it is undergoing a rectilinear motion. Next topic which we have is the concept of point mass. Now whatever calculations we do, we always, let's say we consider a body, we consider a train, we do calculations related to train, we do calculations related to ball, related to aeroplane. Let's say we do calculations related to a animal, right, or any such object. So now all these objects we know they have different shape and sizes, but for our calculations to be very simple, right, we consider all these objects as a point mass object. The word point mass object means an aeroplane. Whenever you do any calculations on the aeroplane, we consider aeroplane as a point mass. That means even though the aeroplane may look this big, right, even aeroplane may look this big, we can consider it as a small point mass located somewhere within its body. Even for the human beings, they are considered to be made up of a point mass whose center of gravity is located somewhere near the belly. So whatever may be the size of the body, it is always considered to be a point mass. It is one of the important considerations to do calculations in the physics. Next topic we have is frame of reference. Frame of reference, I used the word with respect to time and surroundings. What does these words mean with respect to time and surroundings? The words with respect to time and surroundings, these are the references. So in physics, references are very much important. So for any simplifications, for any calculations, let's say we are calculating displacement, or let's say we are calculating speed, or let's say we are calculating force or anything, right, the frame of reference which we use is coordinate axis. coordinate axis, we use x and y frame. For one dimensional motion, we have only x frame. The body is moving either forward or backward. So that is one dimensional. For a two-dimensional motion, x and y both are used. Body is moving from one point to the other point, from A to B. This is an example of 2D motion. If the body is moving in a straight line, this is example of a 1D motion. So frame of reference in physics, we make use of this coordinate system x and y. For 3D reference, we also have a z coordinate on the z axis. So these coordinate axes are called as frame of reference. We have two types of the frame of references. One is inertial frame of reference and other one is non-inertial frame of reference. What do you mean by these two terms? So inertial frame of reference is one in which Newton laws are obeyed, and the non-inertial frame of reference is one in which Newton's laws are not obeyed. Now when they are obeyed, when they are not obeyed, that we'll discuss when we come to that chapter or that topic in detail. But I'll give you examples of inertial and non-inertial frame of reference. Inertial frame of the reference, you can say, example, person in a moving car. Person in a moving car. So this case, Newton's laws are obeyed when the car is moving. But the case when person in a car just about to start, or let's say it is just started, just about to start, or just started its motion, so that becomes non-inertial frame of reference. When you are sitting in a car is at standing condition, it is inertial frame of reference. But as soon as car starts, just the instant at which the car is starting and starting to move, just that 1 or 2 second period interval, or even less than that, maybe half a second interval, in which car starts its motion by the time it reaches its constant velocity. So that is non-inertial frame of reference. I'll try to explain you some other way. Let us say car is at rest. So this condition we call it as a inertial frame of reference, right? As soon as it starts its motion, from the rest till certain condition, it will accelerate. You press the pedal, its speed increases. So from 0 meter per second, let's say it has reached 60 meters per second. So this accelerated part in which its speed was increasing, this part it is called as non-inertial frame of reference. Now after this, let's say car continue its motion with the same speed, with the speed of 60 meters per second, then we again say this part is inertial frame of reference. So it should be very clear to you now. Next we have explanation to one-dimensional motion, two-dimensional motion and three-dimensional motion. So differentiating them, it's very simple. One-dimensional motion is one which involves only one coordinate. Only one coordinate. One coordinate means either x or y or z, any one. Two-dimensional motion, it is one. Two-dimensional motion is one which involves two coordinates. Two coordinates in the sense it involves xy or yz or xz or zx, whatever you say. This is the one which involves all the three coordinates. This is quite typical to study 3D, all the three coordinates x, y and z. Let's see the best examples of 1D, 2D and 3D motion. So 1D motion, it's an example, simple example is person walking on footpath. Footpath is very narrow, right? Let's say from this one shop number 1, the person moves to the shop number 2. Distances should be very small, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 meters. So person is moving in a straight line, one-dimensional motion.